Every winter we get a cold snap, and today is the coldest day yet at -20 with a wind chill of -40. So we are not going anywhere. Join me for some baking on this very, very cold day. The first thing that I'm going to get started on is some sourdough bread dough. Now, we have 4 boys and we homeschool, so we are home a lot and we go through a lot of bread. There are 2 bread recipes that I like to make every single week, sometimes multiple times a week. The first one is a sourdough sandwich bread. That's a nice, soft, fluffy bread that you can use for a lot of different things. And the other one is this Dutch oven sourdough bread with the crispy crust and a really chewy inside. And I like to have this alongside some soup for dinner or toasted with eggs in the morning. So that's what I'm going to be making today. Today is just one of those cozy, curl up on the couch with a book kind of days. So I asked the boys what they wanted for a special treat after they were done working on their school today, and they unanimously voted for orange rolls. Now, if you've never had orange rolls, they are very similar to cinnamon rolls, except instead of cinnamon in the filling, you just add orange zest. And I also flavor the cream cheese frosting with some orange juice and orange zest as well. And these are a really fun variation on cinnamon rolls that we have really been enjoying this winter. The next thing that I'm going to make is some sourdough bagels. This is a popular recipe on my blog, stayathomesarah.com, and on the blog it calls for all-purpose flour or bread flour, but when I make it, I usually substitute half of the flour for a freshly milled wheat flour or einkorn flour, which is what I'm using today. If you are new to sourdough and bread sounds intimidating, or you haven't had good success making sourdough bread yet, bagels would actually be a really good place to start. Your starter should be active and bubbly, but it's okay if it's not the strongest starter ever. Your bagels will still turn out. The dough can be made all in a stand mixer, so you don't have to knead anything by hand, and you just let it rise overnight, and the next morning you shape the bagels, boil them in some brown sugar water, and then bake them. So all throughout the afternoon, I've been stopping to stretch and fold this bread about every half an hour, or whenever I have a minute to stop and do that. And you want to get a total of about 4 or 5 stretch and folds in to really develop the gluten in your bread dough. And then before bed, I just divide this dough into 2 loaves and shape the loaf and let it ferment in a Banneton basket overnight in the refrigerator. The nice thing about sourdough is that you can slow down the fermentation time using the refrigerator, so it will ferment more slowly at a colder temperature. So this dough can actually stay in the fridge for up to a few days, or until whenever you're ready to bake the bread in a hot Dutch oven, and you will have fresh, delicious bread. The next morning it was still very cold, so we decided to start the day with a hot breakfast of sourdough biscuits and gravy. Everyone needs a good biscuit recipe, and this one is my absolute favorite. The recipe is on my blog, stayathomesarah.com, and it is easy to make. You can long ferment it, or you can just use sourdough discard and make it right away, which is what I'm going to do today. And this is one that we all love. I have learned over the years that cooking from scratch is more about knowing methods than following recipes, and this sausage gravy is definitely an example of that. To make a simple sausage gravy, just brown some ground sausage in a pan, drain off part of the grease and sprinkle it with flour, and then add milk to thin it out as you need. This sausage gravy served over fresh sourdough biscuits is the perfect warm breakfast on this cold day. Thanks for spending these cold days with me. I hope you follow along for more homemaking content in the future.